Hi, I'm Rachel Levy. I'm the elementary art specialist here at Carlisle. This is my 16th year teaching here in Carlisle, and it's my 18th year teaching in the public schools. My background is in painting and art education. However, I have discovered in the past year and a half or so, a passion for sewing. And as you see here, this is an example of one of the dresses I designed along with my little dog Jack. I love being able to design garments that are functional and reflect aspects of my personality. To the right of me, you see all different examples of different projects created by students in grades K through 4, just some highlights of the visual art curriculum. For the past few years, I've been researching a new way of thinking about art education, and it's called Studio Habits of Mind. And in it, there's 4 categories. Students use their hands, their heart, and their mind to create works of art, as well as being aware of the artistic community that surrounds them both locally and globally. So within these 4 categories, there's other components, 6 other components. Developing craft, in which students practice using different art materials and techniques. Stretching and exploring, where students explore different materials. They use different ideas and techniques to discover new possibilities. They become good observers. They carefully notice the world around them and consider what they see. They're able to envision in their minds pictures and ideas in order to plan the next steps for their works of art. They engage and persist by staying focused and putting forth their best effort. They express ideas and feelings and things that are important to them through their artwork. They understand art worlds. They interact with others in their community and look at past and present artists as resources for ideas. And then finally, they reflect on what they've made, looking to see if they need to make changes or improvements, and also being able to share and express their ideas with others. Another important component of the visual art curriculum is vertical scaffolding. So students are able to build, since I see them from year to year, on previous learned skills. So in this example here, you see a self-portrait that was made by a kindergarten student, and then another self-portrait made by a 3rd grade student. In this example, I have 3 different color wheels. This is using primary colors to do create secondary colors inspired by the story Mouse Paint. That's for kindergarten. This is an emoji-inspired color wheel for grade 1 students, and then a more advanced 12-step color wheel for that was an example done by a grade 5 student. So now I'm just going to touch on some highlights of the K through 4 curriculum, starting with kindergarten. In kindergarten, I use a lot of literary connections, as well as creating works of art that connect to what students are learning about in their classroom. Currently, students are studying the art and stories of Eric Carle, so we have been creating works of art inspired by some of his wonderful stories and his wonderful art. Kindergarten students learn about owls in their science study in the classroom, and then we do an owl art project in connection to that. Matte Man collage here with different materials and using different shapes is inspired by the Handwriting Without Tears program that the kindergarten students do. We create self-portraits. Again, they learn to be very good observers, observing the parts of the face. And then the spring, I like to focus on the artist Claude Monet and his wonderful water lily inspired paintings. So this is a sculpture project that uses all kinds of different components to create a beautiful garden pond. In grade 1, students focus on building up on their previous skills. So here we have, again, the color wheel, emoji color wheel, learning about primary color mixing to create secondary colors, using value, where students add increments of white to a color to make that color lighter, and adding black to make that color darker. That's called tints and shades. Using different kind of lines and patterns. This is a dragon inspired by the Chinese New Year. Students learn about shape and composition. This is an abstract collage project inspired by the artist Vasily Kandinsky. And students learn how to weave using paper weaving strips, and this project was inspired by the book Elmer. In grade 2, we study artists in both the past and the present. Here we have a Starry Night inspired painting by the Dutch artist Vincent van Gogh. We study the artist Faith Ringgold, who is a painter and quilt maker. She's an African-American contemporary artist, and her very famous book and quilt is called Tar Beach. And this is a project that students create their own version using themselves as a character flying over the George Washington Bridge. We study contemporary Japanese artist Takashi Murakami, who was inspired by Japanese manga and animation, and the American artist John Audubon, who created these wonderful realistic drawings of birds and other wildlife. His most famous book is called Audubon's Birds of America. And here we have a bird, that drawing by a second grader inspired by that artist. In grade 3, we do a unit at the beginning of the school year that focuses on art and nature. We just finished up our fall leaf painting project using warm and cool colors. Also studying the British contemporary artist Andy Goldsworthy and his amazing nature sculptures. And then in the winter, students do a lot of Native American inspired art projects due to a big project they often do in their classrooms where they study different Native American tribes. These are power shields that are inspired by the Native Americans of the Plains. We do another weaving project inspired by the art of the Navajo and the weavings of the Navajo. Quite amazing. And then we do a group project where we create our own totem poles inspired by the Native Americans of the Pacific Northwest. And then finally in grade 4, we talk about art as a vehicle for self-expression, where students are really able to kind of reflect more of their individuality and choices that they make that reflect aspects of themselves. This is an identity portrait inspired by the pop artist Andy Warhol and his soup can paintings. So students kind of create their own brand of soup, reflecting aspects of themselves within the portrait. They learn more about color mixing. This is watercolor techniques to create these kind of amazing skies. This is a seascape inspired by the artist J.M.W. Turner. Grade 4 students learn about the art of the Inuit. This is a printmaking project where they choose an animal that would be a traditional animal that lives in the Arctic, such as a bear or a wolf. And then in the spring, the grade 4 students do their state fair in the classroom, and they research a particular state, and then in art, they create a clay tile that has either their state bird or their state animal or their state flower on it. Another thing that I have started in the past, I'd say about 6 years or so, is called Artsonia. So I like to document a lot of the student artwork, and then they have their own online portfolio. So they can actually parents and family members can see digital 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 copies of their own original artwork. And what's so nice about this is students have this from year to year, so they can access the work that they did in kindergarten all the way up to 4th grade. And then again, it opens up the larger community where friends and family members can also observe work of the student and make comments, which is really, really wonderful. It's a way to connect with family members, especially who you don't see very often. All right, so that wraps things up. I just want to thank you for listening. Feel free to contact me at any time if you have any questions. My email is rlevy@carlisle.k12.ma.us. I hope you have a great day, and thanks again.